Morning all. I thought it'd be fun in this video to take you along kind of on a month-long project making type of a vlog. Probably a little over a month actually. But anyways, before we jump into this video and rewind the clock back, just in case you're new around here, here's a quick introduction.
Hi there, we're Matt and Stacy. We recently bought an off-grid property in beautiful West Virginia. We've been busy making this property our own little slice of paradise, adding in a few modern conveniences, having fun learning all of the construction trades, and converting a pole barn into our future home. This channel is about my passion for painting with a torch and wax, and about our passion for adventure and taking risks. Consider subscribing and join this creative community. And don't forget, hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video.
All right, so let's rewind the clock back to sometime in November. Hi all. Today is November 1st. Is that right? November 2nd. Matt's in the background back there. Anyways, November 2nd, and I thought it would be fun to show you what's behind that door there. And don't judge us, it's a disaster of a storage room. But I thought what might be fun is to we need to go through stuff and reorganize things, perhaps declutter a bit, and I thought it might be fun to kind of go through stuff with you and then show you the projects that I'm planning on doing with the stuff in that room and kind of, I don't know, maybe take you through the whole process of making the stuff. It's my thought. So November 2nd, let's go into the room. We'll start sorting stuff out and yeah, we'll see how the vlog goes. And more stuff.
Yep, it's stuffed. Let's downsize. But first, is it Christmas?
What?
The stockings are hung.
Oh yeah, guys, check it out. I completed Matt's Yoda socks. So they're blacked, washed, all the good stuff. Now you can wear them.
Yay! Are you ready, Doctor? This is the left Stacy Cook knee, I think.
Why do we have those? It's just a great question.
The fact that they say Stacy Cook means that's an answer for you, not me.
It was in your box.
Gonna have to operate.
I think that's when I tore my meniscus, like back when we were skiing.
Can you see this in the camera? I think it's funny that they spelled your name wrong.
I don't know if you can see that or not.
Can you confirm you're Stacy Lynn? Yeah. What if this wasn't yours? And they like took your knee out?
They didn't take my knee out, but yeah, that would be strange. For the record, they came out of the box marked Matt's stuff. So
it's just because they fit, and you probably were like all innocent and sweet saying, will you keep this for me in your box? It's dear and treasured. Stacy Lynn. How old is this? That's not even that's your old name.
I know. I don't know. 1992. Left knee, lower leg. Probably when I was doing track, but they definitely spelled Stacy wrong.
They spelled Cook wrong, too.
I wasn't married in high school yet.
Speaking of mislabels.
It doesn't look like a purse.
Let's see if I can still do this. Oh, I think we got it. There was once a time, folks, when I used to dress up every day.
Yeah, he wore a suit and tie and nice. It's a nice looking tie still.
Well, it's probably why it's still in the box. Do you need this?
Our storage room has exploded out into the bedroom.
Well. Oh, how we doing, Humpty Dumpty? How do you suppose we're doing?
We're making progress.
Is this progress?
This is progress.
I see.
And I told everybody that I would kind of explain maybe why I'm keeping, like, maybe perhaps some vintage Disney shirts. Vintage, it's probably
We're not that old.
Also,
No, it's not vintage anymore. It's ancient.
vintage cloths.
Family cloths, we should say.
Yes. So I'm keeping these random things because, and like doll clothes that I used to have. Keeping these.
You're still a doll.
Keeping these random things because I do have a couple sewing projects in mind.
Also a fox.
Ish. Couple sewing projects in mind, so stay tuned. Hopefully, maybe I'll bring you along on those later in the month.
Let's go!
Also hanging on to these, I don't know if anybody else's mom or grandma made these childhood books, but they were little activity books, and yeah, I'm planning on maybe cutting this apart and doing something with it. I don't know what, but something.
I don't feel my stuff's nearly as sentimental. I have a road hazard sign, license plates. I did find a bunch of quarters. That's good news. Awesome little things that we're going to use to hang some planters off the wall with some local pottery that we found. And most importantly, my cassette tapes of Weird Al Yankovic, The Collection.
Fast forward a few weeks and you will have seen that we hung those vintage plant hangers up. And yeah, that was in a previous video. Go check it out if you're interested.
Hi all, I have just a few hours here left in the day before I have to make some dinner, and it is November 25th, I believe. And last time I picked up the camera, we were talking about cleaning out that storage room. We did get some cleaned out, and I was specifically talking about making stuff out of that fabric that I had saved and put into a box. Well, nothing has come of that yet. However, I am going through yarn as well, and I do have some plans for some yarn. Let me flip the camera around and kind of show you that. Alright, so I have a box of this worsted weight yarn, or some kind of, this is even bulkier, thicker, chunky weight yarn. And some of this I have actually been using up, so yay. And oh, here's another little bit. So my plan is to try to get through all of this yarn so that there's hardly any of this yarn left. Hopefully I can do that maybe before the end of the month. I don't know. We'll see. But I have, like I said, been making a few things with it. And so let me show you those. So far I've made 2 kind of yarn bowls, and I think I'm going to use these to put like the balls or cakes of yarn in. These are kind of yarn cake holders. And then I've also made a couple of Christmas presents, which I'll kind of insert some pictures here of that now. Just been practicing knitting. Hopefully the recipient of these, by the time this video comes out, I will have given her those. So, but hopefully she enjoys them and likes them. But just kind of been practicing my knitting skills, working on different knitting techniques, and I wanted to practice some texture knitting, so I did that on the scarf that I made for her. So yeah, it's coming along, slowly getting through yarn. And this stuff I've had forever, since I started crocheting, and so it's just nice to kind of work through it and use it up. And yeah, so next time I pick you up, I will let you know if I manage to get through this box of yarn.
With the rest of this bulky weight yarn, I decided I wanted to make a drawstring bucket bag by Centinea Gonzalez. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry if I'm not, but I'll try to remember to leave that link down below for this pattern in case you're interested. And I wanted to make this bucket bag quite a bit larger, so I added a lot more rounds to it. And I also decided it would be a fun crochet project because I hadn't crocheted in a while. So this is pretty much what our Saturdays have been looking like lately. Matt playing video games while I knit and crochet on the couch. Lovely way to spend a Saturday and or Sunday afternoon.
All right, all. I wanted to show you. This is that box of the worsted weight yarn. The flap will stay open. Okay, this was the box of worsted weight yarn that I said I wanted to use up. And let me get these other things out of here that I just have thrown in here. But I just have this little bit and this little bit left. So I'm doing really good using it up. However, I found this. Let me move this box and show you what this is. All right, this was a basket, if you will, that I made a while back, and it's like super floppy. I don't like it at all. So I think what I'm gonna do is tear it apart. I never wove these ends in, and I found it in the studio. I was cleaning some stuff out in the studio, found it over there just sitting in a random pile of other stuff. Don't judge me. So I think I'm gonna tear it apart and maybe use some of this yarn, and I'll show you what I'm making in the meantime. All right, so here's what I'm making with that yarn. It's like a big old bucket, basket, if you will. And I'm thinking this will be like a perfect, it's pretty large. I don't know if you can tell via my hand, but it's quite large. And I think this will be the perfect size to store my blanket project in, and then store any other like big projects in. Like I really want to knit a sweater, things like that, but I think it'll be like the perfect size. So I'm tearing this apart to then add a little bit more height to this because I'm almost out of yarn. And yeah, I've used up a lot of the various different scraps, and it's actually, I really kind of like how it came out. So anyways, that's why I'm tearing this apart, to just reuse more of this yarn.
I decided I needed a cord to go along with that drawstring bag, or the drawstring, I guess, for the bag. So I decided to knit that, and I'm just sitting here knitting and watching other Vlogmases.
Good evening. And I wanted to show you the progress I'm making on this box of yarn that I kind of wanted to get through by, well, the beginning of the month. Didn't quite get to it, but let me flip the camera around and show you what we've got left in the box. There's not too much left, so that's good. All right, here's what's left. 3 little tiny scraps of yarn there. Maybe a half a skein here. And this was from that basket that I tore apart. So this I've added back into the box. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that. I've got some ideas for these other ones. Just this is a lot of pink and gray yarn, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with that. I think it's probably an entire skein worth. So let me show you some more stuff here. This bag here is what I've been making with crocheting. I've been crocheting this bag with all of the yarn that was in there. So it's quite big. I'll kind of get a better angle of it here for you all. And I did put a drawstring in, which I've never knit an I-cord before. So this was kind of a fun thing to do. And I'm doing one other cord so it kind of pulls together on both ends. So I have this end done. I have to work on the other cord that is going there, which is what this is. And this is that other, one of the other balls of yarn that came out of that basket that I tore apart, which I don't think I'm going to use most of this up for the rest of this I-cord. So again, I have an idea of maybe what I'm going to do with this, but we'll see. So I'm pretty happy with how that bag is coming out. And I think I said earlier, I can't remember if I said earlier, that's what's going to store the crochet blanket. It has been an ongoing project for, I think, maybe 2 years now. Maybe a year, I don't even know. An ongoing project for a while. So that's what's I'm gonna keep in there, all the yarn, everything like that. So I can hopefully pull it out and work on it a lot more. But I'm happy with how that looks, and I'm happy with using up the yarn that I did get to use up for this project. So if I do any more projects with the rest of this yarn, I'll obviously pick you all up for that. But yeah, we'll just see. I have some ideas rolling around in my head of some next projects that I want to do with yarn that I have on hand, but that will be for another day. This evening I really want to try to get that other I-cord knitted and get this bag completely finished up. We'll see what happens. All right, now that that bag is done, I'm switching gears to a slightly different weight of yarn, and I'll flip the camera around and show you. Don't judge. All right, in our storage room here, and this huge bin is pretty much full of cotton DK weight yarn. And I initially had plans for this yarn. However, those plans have changed, because I was initially going to make like small lap blankets, but how many blankets does one person need? 2 people need. So instead, I think I'm going to try to knit myself a short sleeve tee, and I have the pattern picked out. It's the Tolsta tee. I'll try to put it somewhere in here and who it's by. I can't remember who it's by now. I can picture her, but can't remember the name. At any rate, but because it's cotton yarn, and this pattern doesn't actually call for cotton yarn, I think I'm gonna, well, I know, I need to make like a swatch with it, knit a swatch. And I also want to see how the fabric is going to feel, because this is 100% cotton. So I'm not sure if it's going to be like really stiff, and I'm also not sure if it's going to be just like torturous for me to try to knit with, like as far as my hands go, like if it's going to really hurt. I've heard cotton yarn can do that. So I think what I'm going to try to do maybe is sort out like a couple colors. It's all the same, I think it's Paint Box DK weight cotton. Anyways, it's all kind of the same brand that I'm thinking of using. So what I think I'm going to do is pick out like a dish towel perhaps that maybe is the same gauge as the t-shirt. At least that's my plan. I haven't even looked yet, so I probably should look before I walk you through this whole process and then change my mind completely. But yeah, thought I'd show you the stash anyways. All right, all, you're gonna have to ignore the lighting in here because it's rather late into the evening now. But I'm thinking this color combination, and this is a navy, not a black. It's coming up kind of more black on screen, but it's a dark navy color for a striped knitted tee. And then I might do this gray, a thin gray, in between all of these. That's the thought. Hopefully I have enough yarn because I really don't have a lot of each color. So we'll see how that pans out as well. I looked and I did not find a knitted dishcloth, towel, washcloth in this just a plain stockinette stitch, which is what this tee calls for, and the gauge swatch. So I'm just going to knit a gauge swatch and hopefully we'll see how it goes. Yeah, wish me luck on this. This I think is going to be an ongoing project. But again, I'm getting through some yarn maybe. And this was a purse that I made a while back. So this is going to turn into my project bag. I think I can fit all the yarns in it. I'm not sure as the project grows if it's going to stay in here, but there's some pockets and stuff inside, so I think it'll work out pretty good for it. And my battery's going to die, so I'm going to let you go. Welcome back to the storage room. This afternoon's project, so I spent the morning editing a video, and I have a couple hours left in the day, and I've decided to maybe tackle a project that I'm a little maybe apprehensive about is the right word, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you what brought me in here. All right, so what's in that under the bed container there is what brought me in here. There's a blanket in there, and I'll pull it out and explain the story behind that blanket. All right, so this blanket was a childhood blanket that my grandma made me, and she made like all 4 grandkids a blanket like this. It's a real heavy blanket, and I loved it. I used it all the time, probably all the way up until college and about when we got married. So purple was one of my favorite colors. As you can see, it's very purpley, and yeah, I just loved it. But it's meant for a twin size bed, and it's also, like I said, very heavy, very warm. So it's not something we're using, but I don't want to get rid of it. So what I'm going to attempt to do is cut it apart, which is why I'm a little apprehensive about it, because I don't want to ruin it. But I want to make like a small lap blanket for when I'm sitting at my desk up here. It gets a little chilly. I get a little cold when I'm just sitting. So plus I think it'll look good just kind of draped over the back of the chair, and it'll just be nice and small. And then I'm thinking about making like knitting and crochet type of project bags with any leftover. That's the plan. So yeah, I have no idea how my grandma constructed this, so wish me luck. I think what I'm going to try to do is take a seam ripper and rip, hopefully carefully, these stitches out here, and then I don't know if I'll get these 2 sections then to come apart or what, but I'm going to start here because that seems kind of obvious. And then let me see. Okay, so do you see this? I believe that is tied. Each of these squares have this little thread yarn going through them, and I think it's tied all the way to the back. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do this, but I don't want to take all of these apart. So I'm not sure. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should just cut this, like pick the size and cut it here, and then re-sew the front and back together. I don't know. Let me think here. All right, upon further review, I found this seam at the back, and it's basically 42 inches from this seam to that end, which is around kind of the size of your quote-unquote standard lap blanket. So I think what I'm going to do is start at the seam and try to rip it apart. That's the plan. Wish me luck. All right, it's all cut apart, and basically this here is the size lap blanket it's gonna be, I think. Anyways, it's a good size. So this, you can see, is where I ripped the two back pieces apart, and then this was the in-between layer of the blanket, and then here's the top layer. So basically I need to cut this piece down and the top piece down straight, and then sew them together. But I'm going to do that at a different date or a different time, maybe this weekend, because I'm going to try to recruit Matt and have him help me cut this piece and this other piece straight, because I just did a quick scissor cut, and as you can see, that's definitely not straight. So that's the plan. And then I left the sides sewn up here, so I don't have to worry about, re-sewing the sides. And all of the ties are still tied, so that middle piece is kind of still, this piece, if you will, like the batting, if you will, is still tied in places around the middle, and the top edge is also still sewn up. So knock on wood, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to regret saying it, but in theory this shouldn't be too bad to cut this straight and then just quickly sew it on the sewing machine. In theory, shouldn't be bad. All right, I've got my help.
Great. Put me in charge of cutting an old heirloom.
Hang on, I'll hold. We're going to cut through this layer and the layer that's underneath it. I'm not going to flip it over because they have it all, I think, kind of nice and neat. Are you ready?
Neat as it's gonna be.
Okay. Well, I got the edges all sewed up, and there's a hole, so I'm ready to pull it through, and completely forgot to film sewing it, but there's the machine. Hopefully this works. Okay, so I have to grab onto this end too.
You gonna pull a rabbit out of there?
I don't know, it's like a magic trick. Oh, this is plenty of space.
You want to make it smaller while you're there?
I mean, I could, I guess.
I mean, I don't know, it's less, because you can't sew the other part, you have to hand sew it then?
Well, I could do a top stitch, but I need purple thread. I have to see if I have purple thread.
Need.
Or something to kind of, I have gray. I always do gray. Anyways, alright, let's just keep pulling.
It's too confusing.
It's riveting entertainment for you all, I'm sure.
There's probably a formula out there for, weight of blanket versus hole to pull it all through.
I'm sure there is. However, I am no expert. There's a...
Doesn't look like you're quite there yet.
No. Where'd it go? Not there.
Looks like it's puking a blanket.
That's nice. That's nice.
Maybe the hole was big enough.
One should be smarter than the blanket, that's the problem. One apparently is not smarter than the blanket.
It's like one of them foldable blankets that just tucks into itself. Stored away nicely.
Alright, I might need help. I need help, alright.
Now you just what, throw it? Hey, it looks like a blanket.
With a hole in it still, but
What do you call half a bed cover?
I don't know what.
A throw blanket, apparently. If you're married to Stacy.
Okay. Alright, the blanket is sewn and everything, but I think you can see these ties. In order to turn it inside out and sew the edges together, I had to remove all of the ties that I said were holding all the pieces together. So I'm now retying them, and I could have taken and, you know, sewn along, like quilted along the seam, but I just thought I would keep the look of the original, and I didn't have any purple yarn that was not clashing with the other purples, so I just went with this gray kind of color. And if I try to find one, you can see it on the back, but I'm not real worried about it. It's really just for me. So now I'm going to get to tying all of these again. It's all done, I think, anyways. I don't think I missed any spots. And here's those original purple ties. They're at this end, and then, of course, in the middle, have all of my ties. My tie. And then I have the purple, original purple ties at this end, because these two ends didn't need undone, but everything in the middle did. But it is finished. Happy with it. I'm going to go put it on my desk chair. Wanted to show you one more project I finished, and that is my pinky stripe knit socks. And I did a whole ribbed leg on this one, a little bit higher than what I normally do, but pretty happy with how they came out. Where the heel kind of meets the rest of this yarn, it's a little messy, but it's alright. I'm learning here as I go. So yeah, that's done. I try them on, but I just washed and blocked them so they're still wet. Alright y'all, I'm back with this big container of yarn, and what I want to do today is I have a couple projects in mind, and I just want to sort through it and kind of divide the yarn up between those projects. And that way, I don't know, for some reason it makes me feel better knowing what projects I'm going to use with that yarn. I'm probably not going to get to it for a little while, but at least I'll have it divided up, and I'll have a quote-unquote plan of attack. So that's today's plan, is to divide the yarn up. Alright, I'm going to show you two things. First, I got yarn divided into some baggies that I'm going to be putting then to good use. So it's all divided up now for the most part. And then one more thing is we have an empty box Yay! Very exciting. Alright, all back in the storage unit, and I thought I would give you a quick spin around. It's pretty cleaned out. It's actually, I think, looking better. I don't know if you'll all be able to tell or not, but we definitely got rid of some boxes. We will maybe get rid of a few more as we go along, and I definitely want to keep going through these yarn boxes and making projects out of the yarn that I have on hand. Alright, here it is. I think it's better. I think you all can tell it's better. Eventually that box might go away, and there's some boxes in there that also might get used up. That's kind of yarn area right there. So that's good, I think. And stay tuned, because I'll probably have a upcoming video on maybe some of the future projects that I want to try to tackle with that yarn. Hopefully y'all are interested in seeing that. And I wanted to show you one more project before I let you go, so let me flip the camera around here and show you that. That project is this crochet blanket. It's getting there. I still have, as you can see here, some ends to weave in on the back side, but it's getting there. I am on row 70. This last row here is round 70, or row 70, however you want to say it, out of 98, I believe. So it's definitely getting there. I'm still really enjoying doing it. It's just, you know, as it grows, it takes a lot longer to complete the row, but it's definitely getting there. Alright, so if you've made it this far in the video, thank you very much for watching and sticking through the entire thing. I think it's going to be a little bit longer video. I've just barely started editing it, but at any rate, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like coming along, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And I'm planning on hopefully doing more of these kind of month-long project vlogs. I like watching them when people create and make them, other artists, other knitters and crocheters. So I'm planning on kind of maybe throwing that into the mix coming in 2025, which is crazy to say. But anyway, thank you for coming along on this one. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.